Yeah.
And I think that's going to go lower, Sean.
Yeah.
And the reason why is they got a hearing coming up on the 18th, was conveniently changed from the 4th of October.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why did the CFTC do that? Well, the only reason they really could have done it is to let them cover and take them off the hook. And then what they'll do is probably give them a paltry fine, and that'll be the end of it. It'll be swept under the rug after 4 years of investigation.
Yeah.
But there's no question. All the markets are being rigged, not just gold and silver, commodities, the big exchanges in the United States, and throughout the world.
Right.
You know, I'm one of the few ex-brokers in the world who charts from 3 to 4 in the morning the FTSE, the DAX, the CAC 40. Every day. I've done it for 53 years. And I can see them manipulating. I'm an ex-trader. I spent 25 years being a trader as well as running a brokerage firm. And so you know the rhythm. You know when they're doing what they're doing. A professional can tell that. There's no numbers in the world that will really tell you what a trader knows by watching the rhythm of the market. It's an art form.
Absolutely. I wanted just a couple things. Silver is extremely, extremely oversold in that $30 range. Brother John and others have been doing the technical analysis and saying that it's never been this oversold, even back in the 2008 takedown. So here's what I think is going on. Okay, I've been in the markets a long time. I owned Netflix early on. I owned some Baidu early on. And I just want to make this comparison. To me, I would compare it to Netflix at 12 or 14. They took it up to 25 or 30, brought it all the way back down to 9, and then it went to the moon. Okay, the same thing happened with Baidu, the Chinese Google search engine company. When that thing went public at 80, Bob, it went up to about 140, 150, and then they brought it all the way back down to about 80 at that offering price, and then it went to the moon. And I think what's happening here is that these powers that have been suppressing silver and gold for so very long, they see the writing on the wall, and they're preparing themselves to go long. That's what I think is going to happen. And when this thing goes to $200, $300, $400, $500 an ounce, they are going to profit in a big way. That's my gut. That's what I think is happening here.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly and completely. And they've been manipulating legally since August of 1988. In fact, I wrote an article for the Bull and Bear, which is still in existence. It's in Florida, and I know the people who run it very well. I've known them for years and years. And I said, the market's being manipulated, but I didn't know that they could do it legally at that time. I didn't even know the executive order, the President's Working Group in Financial Markets even existed. Mm-hmm. And then I found out about 1993, 94. And then it all fit in place for me, and that's when derivatives started to grow. And I investigated them and said, "This is going to turn everything into a casino."
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. Hey, let me ask you this, with credit to my buddy 500 Ounces who gave me a heads up about this. There's a show on History Channel called Decoded. They just did a 1-hour piece, a show on is there any gold in Fort Knox, and I posted the finished show here at SGT Report, and it's a gripping hour. If you haven't seen it yet, Bob, I think you'd really enjoy it. They actually interviewed.
Well, I got to tell you something.
They actually interviewed Chris Powell from GATA for this thing, and I think they did a really good job.
Wait a minute, they contacted me to do that show.
Oh, yeah, I wish you'd have spoke with them.
Well, listen to this. And, you know, I live in the jungle. And I said, look, I'm not going to get on a plane to New York or Washington or any place else to do your show. If you'll do it by Skype, I'll do it for you. Otherwise, no, I never heard back from them. Yeah.
Well, they got Chris Powell from GATA, and they shot it right there in the heart of Washington, D.C.
The word is this. I recommended Powell and Rob Kirby, who is in Toronto, and they obviously did use Powell. And but I've known these people for years.
Real quickly, what's your take on what's in Fort Knox, Bob?
Well, people were led through Fort Knox, I think it was 1974, and they saw all this gold piled up there, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, we haven't had an audit since 1953, 54 in that time frame. I have subscribers, 2 of them, who were in the military. They've both been out over 2 years now. And they both had details that went in and guarded the gold and counted the bars and all of this stuff. So there's gold there. It may be gold-covered tungsten bars for all we know, but there's gold there, supposedly. There are bars there. The question is, who do they belong to?
Exactly.
And so we don't know that, but there's something there that's represented as gold. And for lack of any evidence whatsoever other than what's been obliquely uncovered by Rob Kirby, I would say it's probably there. But I don't think it belongs to the United States government. But then again, these people are all interconnected. And if the U.S. government says to Germany or England or France, let's say, that has gold there, part of their gold there, that we need to use 10 tons here today to knock the market down, they'll say, well, do what you have to do. And they do it. And another tip-off that the American part of what's there or was there has been sold is that about 2.5 years ago, we received word, and this is bona fide, that bars were being sold, but they were not good delivery. And they were melt. The only nation in the world that has ever melted gold coins down, which is a purity of somewhere between 88 and 92%, we'll say 90. And I'm not an expert on that, but that's approximate.
Was our country.
That had to be re-refined. The only seller that could have been is the United States government.
In the Gold Confiscation Act.
Right.
Yeah.
So they probably have very little, if no, gold of their own. And then another thing comes up, which I think is doable. Let's say that there's a big meeting and all the currencies are devalued and revalued against one another, and there's a multilateral settlement of debt. Then they have to decide what's going to be the new currency for the world reserve currency.
Right.
And it will be backed by gold, at least in my mind's eye.
Right.
But I think they'll use the dollar again because it's so well known, and they'll back it 15 to 20% with gold. And if the U.S. government doesn't have gold, they'll borrow it from somebody and pay them to lease the gold to back up the new dollar. And I think that's doable.
Interesting. What does that do for silver in your mind?
Anything gold does, silver has to do. I mean, historically, it's been more of a monetary metal than gold has because it's been less expensive. I mean, there's coins that go back to ancient Egypt of silver and gold.
Right.
But mostly silver because people would walk around with silver coins.
Right.
The Roman soldiers get paid with silver coins. After Julius Caesar and his buddies clipped the coins, they had a clipper, and they would take a little piece of silver off the coin so that they were shortchanging their warriors, so to speak. I mean, and it went on before they did it. Because I've done articles on it, and I had people write me and say, well, the Persians were doing that, and so on and so forth. So it's nothing new. But silver's going up. And $400 or $500 an ounce is very doable. $8,000 is very doable in gold. And all you people listening, those markets have been manipulated. Believe me, they have. And I'm one of the foremost experts in the world on the subject.
And the manipulation is going to end. And again, I just want to reaffirm what you're saying and back you up with another expert we trust, and that's James Turk, who has been saying since 2001 that gold is headed to 8,000 and silver's headed to 400. Okay, and he's been right since silver was at $4 and gold was, at $250, $300. You've been saying similar things. So this isn't just pie in the sky poppycock that we're pulling out of thin air. So, well, Bob, you're a good friend to SGT Report, and you're a good friend to all of us who care about liberty. So we always appreciate your time.
Great program. You've got something that a lot of other people don't have. You know how to put it together, and that's why you have so many subscribers.
Well, just keep our heads up and keep trying to do what's right.
That's right. It's very simple. Okay, see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, my brother. We'll see you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Well, friends, thanks for all your support. Be sure to check out sgtreport.com for all the latest. Good night.